The front office is set to be very high on Trevor Keels, and now, as we're heading into Summer League, we finally get a chance to take a further look at Trevor Keels and see if he can take that next leap into superstardom for the New York Knicks. Only time will tell, but he should figure to have an important role on the Summer League roster. We're also going to look at some key prospects that are on the Summer League roster to keep an eye on when Summer League starts on July 8th for the New York Knicks. All of this and more today on the Knicks Digest. Today, we're going to look at the top Summer League prospects for the New York Knicks heading into Summer League for this season. Now, there are a couple of names on this list that you might know, a couple of names on this list that you might not know, but I'm happy to break it all down for you today, starting with Trevor Keels. Now, Trevor Keels is the Knicks' second-round pick in 2022. You might remember him because he was the last draft pick we had. The Knicks did not have a draft pick heading into 2023. So unfortunately, since we had no draft picks, Trevor Keels is our last current standing draft pick. Now, Keels, along with Jeffries, is the only other member of the 2022 Summer League team coming back for this year. A former star at Duke, Keels had brief stints on the Knicks last season, totaling 3 points across 3 games and 8 minutes played. He averaged 14.5 points per game with Westchester last season. Now, Trevor Keels is somebody to keep an eye on. It's been reported in the last few weeks that management has had a high regard for Trevor Keels, and they consider him the draft asset heading into Summer League. So even though the Knicks didn't have a pick this year, they consider Keels to essentially be that pick they would have had for this year. Now, in a way, that's a lot of pressure to put on Keels because essentially you're saying that you have no draft pick for this year. So Trevor Keels essentially is taking that role, and it puts a lot of pressure on him to perform, especially during Summer League when a lot of eyes are going to be focused on him. Now, as you saw there for the G League, when he was performing, he was one of the better performers that we had on the roster, and he was held in high regard for the G League team, being one of their better players. So I am very interested and curious to see how he's developed coming into this next Summer League season, because we saw a little bit of him last year. Now, with really nobody to speak of in terms of key names on the Summer League roster, Trevor Keels is going to be one of the key names to look at going into Summer League in regards to his game, his development, and now what he can do. Because you figure if he's taking that next step, you're going to be able to see that in Summer League. And if that's the case, it could go a long way in potentially earning him a roster spot for the New York Knicks. But he is one key name to take a look at heading into Summer League. Another key name to look at heading into Summer League is Isaiah Roby. And shout out to the New York Post Jared Schwartz for providing the following information on these other key Summer League prospects. Isaiah Roby is a 6'8" power forward, and Roby likely has the best chance to earn himself playing time. The Knicks' maneuvers to acquire him point to that expectation at the very least. They signed Roby, the 25-year-old, on the final day of the 2022-2023 regular season, knowing that he would not be eligible to play postseason. Roby signed a 2-year deal worth $2.4 million with $400,000 guaranteed, a figure that suggests he's part of their plans for the 2023-2024 season. Roby played from 2020 to 2022 with the Oklahoma City Thunder and was actually productive during his final 2 seasons there, averaging 8.7 points and 10.1 points per game respectively. So he's one of the key names to watch. And actually, after Trevor Keels, Isaiah Roby might be my next top prospect to look at. There are a number of reasons for this, but I loved what I saw from his game in OKC. And Jared Schwartz from the New York Post was absolutely right when he said during the last few games for the Oklahoma City Thunder in the final seasons he was there, he was actually growing into a very good role for OKC. Now, that was probably due to a lot of injuries, and they had a lot of rookies. I'm sure if he was going back to the team now, he wouldn't get that much time because there's a lot more prospects in front of him that are further developed or that we want to see develop on that team. It's interesting to note that of all the rookies on OKC, Roby's name is somebody to watch and note because he actually took the opportunity and ran with it and did something from it. And because of what he did, the Knicks saw that and signed him. The Knicks signing him to a contract speaks a lot of volumes in regards to how they see him, view him, and think about him in regards to the future with him as part of the Knicks. There are a lot of people that you might see as part of Summer League that you might never hear again for the New York Knicks. But I don't think Roby's one of those guys. I expect Roby to have a very, very big role on the Summer League team. And if that goes well, I expect him to be battling for a position for a backup on the bench. We'll see how that works out. But definitely be excited for Isaiah Roby. I think he's somebody special to watch for the New York Knicks this season. DaQuan Jeffries is another notable name to watch for the Knicks Summer League roster, according to New York Post Jared Schwartz. Jeffries impressed the New York Knicks team last summer, averaging 8.2 points and 4.2 rebounds per game. But at 25 years old, he is running out of time to solidify NBA stability. The 6'5" guard spent time on the Knicks roster last season, but he did not play. He last appeared in an NBA game during the 2021-2022 season with the Grizzlies. In 47 games in the NBA across 3 seasons, Jeffrey averaged 3.8 points per game. He struggled as a perimeter shooter, hitting 29% from three-point range in the NBA. But he has enjoyed success in the G League, though, and he averaged 21.3 points last year in the regular season with the Westchester Knicks on 49.2% shooting from the field, and he upped that three-point range to 39.3% from shooting from behind the arc. So clearly, DaQuan Jeffries is somebody to watch. One of the issues, though, is that three-point shooting. If you can't shoot the three, you're likely not going to be added to the New York Knicks roster for this upcoming season. You have to be able to shoot and shoot at a high regard in order to be added to this Knicks team moving forward for next season. Because one of the glaring holes for the New York Knicks is shooting and knockdown key shooting that we need. And if you can't provide that, especially as a rookie, you're likely not going to get looked on. So it's good to see here that DaQuan Jeffries took his game to the next level just a little bit and was able to showcase that he can improve from behind the arc, because that's something that we were watching for. Now, he's going to be somebody to watch as well as a top prospect for the New York Knicks. I don't think he's somebody more to watch than Trevor Keels or Isaiah Roby, but he is a name to keep your eyes on because he could have a standout performance. If it's anything like the G League, he is going to have a game and he's going to score some buckets. More than anything else, DaQuan Jeffries is a walking bucket. He can get his shot and create his own shot. He is very, very good at that. I would say that DaQuan Jeffries, in terms of shot creation, is better at doing that than even Trevor Keels is. The problem is his entire game isn't complete yet. It's still up and down at times and he's still a little streaky. If he can clean that up, he could definitely be a he can definitely be a top prospect in this league. But as we reported here, he is running out of time. At 25 years old, the clock is ticking. And if he can't solidify himself on an NBA team, it's going to be really, really hard as he ages to get himself on one of these teams, because a lot of teams don't want an aging older rookie. They want young rookies and older vets. And if you don't fit that, you're likely not going to be signed to any NBA team, unfortunately. Please forgive me if I butcher this name. I'm going to do my best here. This particular prospect for the New York Knicks is called Dmytro Skapintsev. The 7'1" center averaged 8.4 points and 6.1 rebounds per game in the 2022-2023 regular season with Westchester, on an impressive 60.8% shooting from the field. Skapintsev, who was born in the Ukraine, was on the California State Northridge roster before he went undrafted in 2022. This kid is 7'1" with 60% shooting from the field. Listen, I'm not saying the Knicks have a center position open, but the Knicks absolutely need more offense from their 5 spot. This kid is 7'1", shooting 60% from the field. Now, admittedly, when you watch him play, most of his shots are inside the paint. But that's still production. That's still a threat, and that's still somebody that can get you buckets when you need it. At 7'1", he can be nearly unguardable depending on how high his release is with the shot. So this kid is somebody to watch. Before reading this article, I didn't have a lot of information about this kid. But after reading a little bit on him, looking at his game, watching some of his games at Westchester, which I invite you guys to do actually, you will see that he has a lot of skill. Now, positioning for him is an issue. He can't find the right positioning at times in games, and sometimes the poor positioning leads to him getting taken off the dribble or being blindsided by another defender behind him, so he's not anticipating the contact. Somebody goes around him and gets a layup over him. There are ways to fix that, and there are ways to tell him in terms of putting his hands out, extending, understanding his surroundings. If he can work on that and get better at that, the Knicks may have found a 7'1" gem in their midst. They just have to develop him. And finally, closing out the top prospect list for the New York Knicks Summer League roster is a personal favorite of mine, Jaylen Martin. Now, as Jared Schwartz from the New York Post puts it here, the most intriguing of the Knicks undrafted free agent signings of this year is Jaylen Martin, who is 19 years old and played for the YNG Dreamers of the Overtime Elite last season. He averaged 14 points and 5.9 rebounds, and he's a 6'6" wing. Martin possesses promising athleticism and emerged as a reliable catch-and-shoot option for the perimeter. Catch and shoot. You mean like when you're in the corner and Jalen Brunson's penetrating and you need to knock down a shot? Yep. Check. That's what we need. Shooting. Jaylen Martin is such an explosive and athletic wing at 6'6". His height, his size, and his ability make him a must-see prospect going into Summer League. Jaylen Martin has already had ties with the New York Knicks, being mentored by Charlie Ward, one of the Knicks' former point guards of the franchise and who I consider to be a legend in this game. Very, very good reports from Charlie Ward on Jaylen Martin regarding his athleticism, his two-way play, and how good of a defender he can be. This is why it's so important to take a look at Jaylen Martin, because in my opinion, even though he went undrafted, he is a top prospect. He was a 4-star recruit, mind you, and he's a top prospect for the New York Knicks heading into Summer League. What he can do in terms of his slashing, his cutting, his shooting, his defending, he has an all-around game that makes the most sense for the New York Knicks roster heading into this next season. I know it's scary to say that, but as a rookie right now at 19, his developmental side has a huge upside. But here's the thing. If he can figure it out and complete most of what makes him a great NBA player, those strengths are not only what the New York Knicks need, but it's what's going to get him favor with Tom Thibodeau. A two-way wing who can defend at a great level in Jaylen Martin. Yeah, Tom Thibodeau has his eyes already locked on you. You know he's going to be at Summer League. So you have to show out and showcase those abilities. If you can be a great lockdown two-way defender, Thibs is going to look at you. And if Thibs has his eye on you, then one thing is for certain. One, you're likely safe. And two, you might be in line to earn yourself a roster spot come next season. But it's going to be up to you to focus, to play with the best type of ability that you have at the time, and to showcase all of the abilities that got you to this level in the first place. Jaylen Martin has all of the tools to be a star in this league because of that athleticism, that cutting ability, and his two-way game. As a wing, he's already coming into the NBA as one of the most coveted positions that anybody can play. If he can figure that out, the New York Knicks could have a very good prospect in Jaylen Martin. If you like this video, go ahead and leave a comment below, smash that like button, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Until next time, Knicks fans. Peace.